Welcome to Sacredly Selfish, a space where we flip the script on what it means to choose yourself.
I'm Megan, and together with Raju, we're diving into raw, real conversations that explore self-love, boundaries, healing, and what happens when women stop abandoning themselves and start living in alignment.
Because being selfish isn't wrong. When it's sacred, it's revolutionary.
We're so glad you're here. Now, let's get selfish.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sacredly Selfish. Happy New Year. By the time this episode releases, we will be into 2026, and we hope you all had a beautiful holiday season. We wanted to talk in this episode about resolutions and intentions. I know when the new year comes around, most people are always thinking of things that they can change about themselves, and they're setting these goals that majority of people are usually not able to achieve. And we wanted to just dive into what in the past we have done, what we have expected from ourselves by creating resolutions, and also how we're changing it this year and how we may have changed it for 2025 as well too by setting intentions instead. Resolutions are usually based on a goal, something you want to achieve more physically, like something you can see, whereas intentions are more gentler. They're more rooted and they're more grounded. So, for this episode, we're excited to dive in and see what Megan's intentions for this year are, how they differ from the past years, how mine are this year, and how they have differed from the past years as well too.
I want to bring it back to resolutions coming up to like November, December, feeling let down by not achieving all these quote unquote resolutions and feeling really down on myself. And then when December would roll around, it would be, okay, well, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to drink whatever I want because the new year is coming. I can splurge now. And then when the new year comes, I'll buckle down. I find that's where resolutions came from, especially for me. When I look at resolutions, it's like I need to change something about myself because I am not good enough the way that I am, the way that I show up. Whereas intentions for me is like, oh, I'm intending to feel this way. I want to cultivate this. I want to bring more of that into my life compared to resolutions where it's like, I need to lose 30 pounds in 6 months. I need to go out more because I'm such an introvert. I have no friends. All of these pressures of trying to be so outside of myself for other people's reflections, for other people's validation. It wasn't for myself, how I wanted to feel. It's more of taking other people's criticisms and now, okay, I'm not good enough. I need to change. And so for me, over the last few years, I've found that intentions are such a good way to reframe the word resolution, and it brings up a different version of myself. I can speak on just 2025. That was the one year I actually created a vision board for myself. I put so many pictures and so many feelings as to how I wanted 2025 to look and what I was cultivating. And there was still a part of myself that felt I needed to date more and that I needed to do a certain thing because I'm going to be 35 that year and feeling that pressure. So although I went into it with the intention of doing it differently, there was still old versions of me that kind of crept in and wanted to get a result. That was probably the one thing that was the old me creeping in, feeling like I needed to have a partner. I went on the apps and I started like hustling because this is on my vision board. When I was doing that, I was going on all these dates and not that they were all horrible, they weren't from an aligned place. So I was doing it to get a result rather than doing it from a feeling of, oh, I want to have more freedom. I want to try more things. I want to go outside of my comfort zone. Instead of doing it that way, I was looking at it as I'm 35. I'm going to eventually need to get a partner. I'm going to have to get married if I want to have children. And that part of me just kept creeping in and creeping in. That only lasted, I would say, 3 months. So from January to about March. And then I was like, what am I doing? I realized what I was doing. I got off all of those apps, and I really put dating on the back burner. What I wanted really from the whole putting dating and partnership onto my vision board was actually feeling whole within myself. And I've been slowly getting there since 2023, but I think there was still that part of me that was holding back a little, like thinking I can only get this feeling from another person. But really, I realized that it's actually coming from within. And so when I realized that, everything kind of switched. I started again pouring more back into myself, and other things on my vision board started coming to life. So I had like a lot of vegetables. I wanted to make butter and I wanted to make bread, and, you know, all these little things. I wanted to start writing again. And this podcast was on there, the feeling of, getting my voice out there. And so all of these things were coming to life again. And it was doing it because it was joyful. Now, just because everything was on my vision board doesn't necessarily mean it came to fruition. I had stuff on there about going to Egypt that did not happen this year. I put writing on my vision board. So writing in the sense of, oh, I'm going to be an author. I'm going to write a book. But what actually came through is me starting to write little short stories, or me starting to write little poems or motivational words. And so that came through instead. So maybe you have something on your vision board, or you have an intention, and it won't look exactly as you envisioned it to look. When you start letting go and peeling back the layers, you will find something better emerges instead. So it's kind of like putting onto this board how you want to feel. If it's a car, what does that car represent for you? Why do you want this new car? What is the feeling associated with this new car? And then when you start getting the feeling, then it's like, okay, what can I bring into my life to start creating that energy of that specific feeling? And then maybe the car will pop up, or maybe you're moving, or you want a new house, or whatever it may be. For 2025, the biggest intention for me was trying to heal my body and heal my autoimmune disease. And I made some great strides, really peeling back, feeling good, and wanting to feel healthy, to really listen to my body, really listen to what it's trying to tell me, and realize that that is the most important thing. And so in 2025, it was really setting the intention of how can I support my body? What can I do to give it all the nutrients and all the love that it needs? Because I was really at war with myself for so many years, and now all these symptoms are coming up and I want to heal them. For 2026, I don't really have too many intentions. Majority of what I want to cultivate is health, for sure. I that is my main focus. So really pouring back into nutritious foods, healing my brain fog and the autoimmune disease, and really having more energy in my life. And so that is kind of my idea of 2026. Yes, I have travel plans, and I'm going to Europe again in April and possibly exploring elsewhere. I know the fun moments are there, but now in 2026, I want to go to more sound baths. I want to try a new activity. I'm really into dance, which I will continue to do. Could I do a sport? Is ice hockey something I want to get back into? We went out for my brother's birthday, and I was talking to a bunch of the girls there, and they also played ice hockey, and we're like, you know what, why don't we start a team? So something new and exciting, and you can meet new people that way as well. It's like bringing more activities, bringing more joy. I really want to highlight the fact that yes, it is January. Yes, you are moving forward. You want to start the new year off fresh. However, you can change at any point in the year. Just because it's January 1st doesn't mean you need to change everything about yourself. You need to have these quote unquote resolutions or even these intentions. Maybe I'm going to go into January I'm going to have healed all the things that need to be healing. And then I'm like, oh, but I actually want to do this now. Or maybe this is going to be my intention. I want to do something differently. And that can happen on June 13th. That can happen on September 4th. Like it could be any day. And it doesn't matter when you have that inkling to change or you have that desire to do something new, follow it. And just because it's January doesn't mean you need to have a whole slew of things. Maybe you even want to make a vision board in 6 months from now. Maybe that's where it is. Or maybe on your birthday, you want to set new intentions of, okay, what does this year look like to me? So I think that's really important to highlight, is to really come back to, if you feel something and you have a desire and a pull to do it, then to move forward with that at any point.
For me, I've set the typical New Year's resolutions in the past that have always been like goal focused in terms of exercise, fitness. And I was similar to Megan. I used to treat November and December like, oh, fuck it. Like I would have like the fuck it's where I would just be like, oh, I'm just going to let, myself just eat whatever I want, do whatever I want, and I'll just restart in January. And I did that for many, many years. And I remember during the holidays, I'd feel completely bloated and just feeling like crap because I was just eating anything and everything. I still moved my body, but I was not really honoring what my body actually wanted. So the difference between me over the last few years is I no longer set resolutions. January 1st is just another day. There's no new year, new me. I'm still the same person, but I'm growing and I'm becoming better and I'm becoming stronger in so many different ways. For 2025, it was a huge year for me. It was a huge year in my healing. It was a huge year in terms of me really socially getting myself back out there after just being 3 years of just in my mind, in myself, not knowing what I wanted to do and not knowing who I was. So 2025, there was this huge growth where I saw I really peeled back the layers with a lot of trauma and it was heavy. Like I worked so hard on myself, just really getting deep into any trauma I had experienced in my life, particularly over the last 3 years, and also figuring out who I wanted to be as Raju, but also as a mom and really finding the balance between the two. We had a lot of weddings. I don't think we had any weddings for 4 years. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I think I went to 5 weddings in 2025. So I was busy socially. I was busy diving deeper into myself. And I had moments where I felt really burnt out. I felt really exhausted. And we started this podcast, which is huge. I think that was a celebratory milestone that we achieved in this year. And it all happened in over the last couple of months. And it's just been so much has gone on in 2025. So when I sit and I reflect about what 2026 looks like for me, I just want rest. My one thing is I do want to grow deeper into myself. I do want to really expand in who I have started cultivating over this last year and really finding ways to be present with myself and also being gentle with myself and not being so hard on myself when the healing journey may not look how I was expecting it to look, or when I have those moments of where all of a sudden I am finding myself going back into old behaviors and patterns and really allowing myself to be like, that's okay. Being gentle, giving myself the grace that growth, even if it's slow, is still growth. And that's where I just really want to highlight is that 2025 for me was a busy year. So 2026 looks more of a year of rest. I also want to, in 2025, I was saying that I wanted to, add in more healing modalities. So, like, whether that looked like sound baths, more meditations, maybe in like a one on one with someone, adding in yoga, doing something along those lines. And I did do it, but I didn't do it as frequently as I wanted to. So this year, I do want to start incorporating that because I feel like that is a part of me resting. That is a part of me growing. It kind of incorporates all the intentions that I'm wanting for this year it's a part of that journey. So I'm really excited to add in a few more sound baths. I think another big thing for me for this year is that I really want to be more present with my children. I find that a lot of the times I am exhausted after work and I'm there, I'm with my kids, I'm doing the things I need to do, but I just don't want to be present in the sense like I'm in the room with them. I want to be present with them in the sense that we're making memories, even out of just the day to day things we do. I really want to take moments out of that day and spend so much intentional time where like my devices are put away, the kids don't have their iPads, and we're just creating these sweet little memories, laughing with them, playing with them on the ground. I used to run around and act like I was a zombie and chase them. I haven't done that at all in, I would say, a year. So I want to reincorporate that because that would bring up the laughter. It would be this fun, like this exciting, like joyful moment for us. So it's really being present with the kids. And and another one for me is also setting the intention to say no. And if I'm feeling tired and burnt out, just honoring my feelings and voicing my feelings, whether it's someone that has invited me out to go for like dinner or lunch. And if it's not feeling like something I'm wanting to do because I'm feeling my schedule is overpacked, I'm really allowing myself to say no. I was never one that created a vision board. I know it works for a lot of people. I've never actually tried it, and I may or may not try it this year. I think Megan and I were possibly talking about having, a vision board day in January where we just sit down and maybe Rhea can also join us in for that and she can learn what a vision board is. I never was setting out like I want to achieve this, this, and this. It was usually always just fitness based and that was it. Or I would say, oh, I want to go travel and that was it. So for me this year, I really want to focus on things that make me feel good day to day. And one thing 2025 and even the last 3 years has taught me that things can change within a second in your life. And I really do not believe in over planning. So living day by day. The last year, we've had a lot of family health complications that have come up. And I noticed that when those have happened, I've noticed myself spiraling. And I've started kind of going into like, oh, thinking of what the future may look like and what's going to happen versus just kind of being present in that moment and supporting who it may be, or if it's something to do with me, just really honoring what my body's feeling and what I'm needing in that moment. So for this following year, that's really important for me is that I want to focus on one day at a time and be thankful for every day that I wake up and I'm healthy, my family's healthy, my kids are healthy, just really being present in that moment. So I think for me, my intention is presence for this year.
I want to go back to how you're saying 2025 was such a huge year for you. It's because you started this one on one work and, you really got to go in deep with what you were feeling and the reasons behind why you were um, acting a certain way or how you showed up and just being really intentional with it and like having that extra person there who is unbiased and can really help you work through that is such a huge thing. So for me, that year happened in the end of 2023 and all of 2024. That was such a big year for me. 2024, I went to the immersion for the first time. And then I decided to do another retreat in Kenya for November of 2024. And so I had this really massive awakening, massive breakthrough on just who I was as a person, what I wanted to cultivate, all these new things. I ended up going on my mentor's podcast. And that was really big because I never would share my voice. When 2025 happened and I got invited back to the immersion as a support person, that was really big for me. But as I was towards the end of this year, 2025, I was sitting and I was actually feeling really down. I'll be honest. I haven't really done anything in 2025 because 2024 was so big for me. And this idea that one year is better than the other, but I actually sat down and I thought of all the things that I have accomplished and I have done that scared the living crap out of me in 2025. I had done so much more than I even realized. I think the reason for that is 2024 me, so brand new, still doing all these new things. It was so exciting and so and then I got grounded with it in 2025. So all these things, I knew it was possible. I knew I could do these things. I know I can go outside my comfort zone. So the more that I was grounded, the more that I stepped into it, it's like, oh, yeah, of course I've done that. Oh, of course I've done this. Of course I'm going to change my body. Of course I'm going to, heal this part. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to do dance. I did dance twice this year. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. And then going to the immersion again to support other women, that was so different. That was holding so much space for so many people who are now starting this journey. And I think it's coming back to, oh, let's take a moment and really reflect on all that we have accomplished. It could be small, it could be big, it could be whatever it is. And you may not realize that you've actually stepped through this portal and have done things that maybe you didn't think was huge, but actually internally, when you reflect on it, you're like, holy crap. And it's celebrating yourself for knowing that, oh, I can do these things. It's not so big for me now because not that I'm used to it, but it's more like it's possible. I can handle these new things that are popping up for me. There was a lot of fear when we decided to put this podcast out. Our saboteurs were so loud and we were so afraid of judgment and so afraid of what other people would think. And that needed to happen for us to shed the layers and to show up more fully, more authentically. And of course, you're going to have pieces of yourself when you're doing something new that is scary, and you're gonna wonder, like, am I doing the right thing? I was always afraid of being seen, of being heard. And so when Raju started posting our reel or like of the podcast, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting that on my private Instagram. I don't want people who know me to listen to this podcast. Like, no. When I was sitting there, it only took me an hour or two to move through that feeling and to realize, who cares what other people think? We're showing up, and if people don't like it, they don't need to stay. Right? And it's like, don't let other people hold you back. So my fear of judgment from everyone else was holding me back. And now I don't care if I post something or if I look ugly on the podcast or if my hair's up or it's frizzy or whatever it may be. It's just showing up and doing the thing, because at the end of the day, what I have to say, what Raju has to say is going to hit someone where they need to hear it. It's going to spark something in them where they want to listen, or give them the empowerment of, hey, they are doing it. This happens to them too. This happens to other people. I think we sometimes think that no one else feels this way. No one else feels shame. No one else feels abandoned or lonely, or that they're not good enough. But each of us have some version of that. And when you peel back the layers, it's not the story. It's not anything that's happening around. It's the conditioning in which we have grown up, and those core feelings. At the end of the day, we all have that. And it's just, how do we alchemize it? How do we move past it? How do we do something new? That is the beauty of going down this healing journey.
Going back to how you're saying, like, people will think that they didn't have a good year because they are not reflecting back, or they're like, oh my gosh, last year was so huge for me. Like, for yourself, it was huge, and you feel like there's no way the next year can even be comparable to it. When you're feeling like that, if you start writing down exactly what you have accomplished in that year, how you have felt in that year, you'll realize you have moved mountains. And a lot of people will get stuck in their day to day and feel like they're not accomplishing anything. But when you reflect back and you're like, oh my God, for example, you, like the first time you did dance, oh my gosh, I actually got up on stage and I danced in front of all these people I don't even know, and I put myself out there. For us starting the podcast, that was huge, and it was towards the end of this year, and there was a lot of feelings we had to work through. It wasn't like we posted it, we were confident. We're still working through feelings sometimes. As soon as the podcast came out, the stage fright in us came. And it's like sometimes we're recording and we're just like, oh, we don't think that one really went that well. And then we listen back and we're like, oh my God, that was so potent. It was so beautiful. It's really recognizing that every little action that you take is something that's going to build and build and build, and it will become something bigger, and you will be growing within those steps. Taking those chances where you feel afraid to do something is where you should be going. The podcast was something we were afraid. We were afraid of putting our faces out there. We thought about only doing audio because we did not want to have our faces out there. And most of the time I come on here without any makeup, like, which is huge for me because I don't care. I'm out here to reach the people that want to hear our stories and that want to know our journey and are finding it helpful. And those people will find us. And the ones that may be labeling our podcast at, they will find a different podcast that works for them or someone else. And that's okay. And it's just having that reflection of knowing that do things in this year that you were afraid to do, because that's where you need to go and that's where you will grow the most.
Raju and I struggle day to day. Like, this isn't just we do this podcast and we're so zen and we do all the things. Like, we have things that pop up. Like, as she said, the podcast. There were so many feelings that came with that. I'll reflect on something that happened with me at the end of 2024. I had so many people saying, you had such a huge year and, we're so proud of you and all the things that you've done. And that felt really good. And I did have such a huge year. And then I realized there is this saboteur part of myself is like, oh, fuck, 2025 has got to be bigger and better. I got to prove to everyone that this is what I'm doing. And even at work, people are like, oh, where are you off to now? Because I'm always traveling. And then when 2025 happened, I had gone to Europe and, I was possibly going to go to Kenya again around this time, but it fell through. I was like, oh shit. Like, I have to prove to everyone that I'm doing all these things or I'm going on a new adventure because that's the version of myself that they're seeing now. And I'm like, I have to hold on to this torch. I have to like keep this thing alive instead of sitting back with it and going on a trip. Is that something that I want to do? Doing it for me, I realized that there was a portion, my saboteur self, that was like, no, I need to prove to everyone that because I'm single and because I have all this free time, quote unquote, because nobody knows what I'm doing in my day to day life, that I have to make it so grand and so big and like keep up with my 2024 self instead of letting all these things unfold. And I think that's where that energy of, oh, 2025, I haven't really done much. And so it's like being really gentle with myself and sitting back, like, no, you've done this. I've done so much. And you know what? It's okay to rest. You don't need to do everything for everybody else for what it looks like for everybody else at the end of the day. And I just wanted to highlight that because like I said, Raju and I have our struggles and we're coming on here onto this podcast to share them, to bring awareness to it and the fact that you guys aren't alone. We can do this together. We can create this community where we can lean on each other, that we can support each other in a healthy, beautiful way, hold up the mirror. And I feel like these intentions going forward into 2026 are so important. Just how do you want to feel? As Raju said, she wants to have more patience, want to have more presence with her children. Like those little things, those are huge. To be present is actually a struggle because how many times do we just pick up our cell phone or we're distracting ourselves? Just going into 2026 with fresh eyes and going easy on yourself, being gentle and slowly coming to the idea of how do you want to show up this year? How do you want to feel this year? Don't put restrictions and guides onto what you want to do. And when big things happen, when you have big emotions, how are you going to show up for it? I feel like that could be a really good one for our listeners of taking that pause. And that's something I want to cultivate in 2026, taking a pause before I start something new, before I respond to someone. Maybe I want to respond in such a loving, intentional way, but actually it's penetrated and touched something in me that I need to work through first before I can show up for that person.
So, just a reminder that you don't need to have this big year that looks huge on paper. It can be a year that is of deep growth within yourself, and even the small intentions that you were able to achieve throughout the year, highlighting those and not comparing to the following years. And we hope you guys have a beautiful year ahead full of so much growth, love, presence, and most importantly, rest. We will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Sacredly Selfish. Stay connected with us on Instagram and TikTok at Sacredly Selfish. And if this episode spoke to you, be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs the reminder that choosing yourself is sacred, not selfish.